Hello guys, straight away to the NATO meeting which happened just right now. We have some of the initial results of the NATO summit. An important thing that there was a personal rendezvous between Donald Trump and President of Ukraine Zelensky, and it went absolutely great from what I understood. Well, at least Donald Trump says that, and Zelensky. Donald Trump was asked about what they've discussed, some sort of the ceasefire, and let's listen to the answer. I'll expedite the video just a little for you.
Just had a meeting with President Zelensky. Did you discuss any ceasefire in this Russo-Ukrainian?
No, I wanted to know how he's doing. He was very nice, actually. You know, we had little rough times, but sometimes he was couldn't have been nicer. I think I'd like to see an end to this. I do. I think what I took from the meeting couldn't have been nicer, actually. But I took from the meeting that he'd like to see it end. I think it's a great time to end it. I'm going to speak to Vladimir Putin, see if we can get it ended.
So he spoke with Zelensky. The meeting went absolutely fine, and he is ready to speak with Vladimir Putin. Just to remind you, before, Donald Trump had conversations with Putin at first, and then he called to Zelensky as a result. Here we have a different format. And honestly, guys, it's the first time that I'm quite positive about the NATO summit in general and about some of the Trump's words, which he said on press conference. He related to Ukrainian soldiers as towards the brave warriors. He also called Zelensky as a leader who leads those brave soldiers in their brave fight. But he also mentioned that this fight is very difficult, probably, he said, the most difficult of all. And it is understandable. Before, Donald Trump thought that he could negotiate with Putin, that previous policy from the previous White House administration of Joe Biden was wrong, given Ukraine weaponry is wrong. It's time to negotiate ceasefire and let Russia take what it wants, like at least the occupied territories, but Russia wants more. Putin doesn't agree on ceasefire. He didn't agree on many of the proposals. That's why it's evident now for Donald Trump that this war is very complicated and he should resolve it, try to resolve it at least, because he promised to do it in 24 hours, but eventually it might take not 24 hours but many years. I guess we all know the Trump's personality already, and we understand that he's looking for very quick and winning action, like he did recently, dropping bombs on Iranian nuclear facilities. By the way, we're gonna speak about it also in this video, because there are some of the details I want to discuss. But with Ukraine, this blitzkrieg resolvement of the situation is basically not possible.
Said that you would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. You later said that sarcastically.
Well, of course it was sarcastic.
But you've now been in office for 5 months and 5 days. Why have you not been able to end the Ukraine war?
Because it's more difficult than people would have any idea. Vladimir Putin has been more difficult. Frankly, I had some problems with Zelensky. You may have read about him. And it's been more difficult than other wars. I mean, look.
Yeah, for Trump, more difficult. He thought it would be the easy resolution of this conflict, but he was and continued to be not competent about what is happening in Ukraine. That's why for him everything is difficult. He is searching for easy way outs which would be profitable for him personally and for his PR. And what, guys, I'm really happy about that there was the final declaration published about the NATO summit in Hague. And that included the promise continue military support of Ukraine, while Russia is described as the long-term threat to Euro-Atlantic security. So in this final document, which everyone signed, including Orban, Fico, Donald Trump, they see Russia as the threat for alliance. And while Ukraine is like a shield for European countries, first of all, NATO members, Ukraine will be supported with military. Guys, it's the best thing which happened for a very, very long time. This final declaration, yeah, you may say it's just a piece of paper, digital code, if we speak about the electronic variant, but at the same time we see a dedication from alliance to support Ukraine in military way. And it is absolutely great, my friends, because Ukraine continued to resist this unprovoked attack from the Russian Federation, and Ukraine does it in the best way possible under current conditions, I would say. And this part of the Trump speech is kind of remarkable because he shows Putin his place. Maybe Trump is riding this testosterone wave, then America bombed some other country, and he is like feeling very, very strong, even compared to Putin. And let's listen to his speech here. It's less than 1 minute because I expedited it. Here he says about Putin.
But he did call up and he said, He's close to Iran. He'd like to help us get a settlement. I said, no, you help me get a settlement with Russia. And I think we're going to be doing that too. Yeah, please.
So yeah, he basically repeated his speech on an airplane. It wasn't the accident one. It is clear that Donald Trump is now disappointed with Putin's inaction to follow his program for the ceasefire. Stop shooting, keep the current front line, that's it. But it's not interesting for Putin at all. Here's the meeting between Donald Trump and Zelensky. It went well this time, not like Oval Office meeting. Here are some of the Ukrainian representatives, the head of the president's office, minister of the foreign affairs and defense minister. By the way, I heard the rumors that there will be a new minister of defense of Ukraine, but I'm not sure, my friends. For now, those are just the rumors. What is also important thing, which Donald Trump proclaimed at the meeting, that he is not sure whether Putin is going to be limited just in Ukraine. Yeah, I have it here from the media. Putin may have territorial ambitions beyond Ukraine, Trump says. So it's the threat for NATO countries, direct threat actually. At the meeting, journalist of BBC Ukraine also asked Donald Trump about the sale of the American-made Patriot systems to Ukraine. Well, Donald Trump said that they're selling those systems to their allies in Middle East and they don't have a lot, which is absolute lies. They just don't want to supply those for now. But Donald Trump says that they'll look to this question. So maybe Ukraine may obtain at least one of the Patriot system from the United States of America, and we know that there is the Israel Patriot system ongoing maintenance in USA. I hope that Ukraine will get more than that one. How do I know that there is the Israeli system now in USA, which will be supplied to Ukraine? Zelensky told about it, but Ukraine absolutely needs more, and some of our allies, they increased the military support for Ukraine, also if we speak about air defense. Alright, now about the bad news from Donald Trump's administration. Rubio says that America is not looking to intensify or strengthen the sanctions applied on Russia. Rubio says that USA is just a mediator in this war, which is absolute bullshit because USA still supplies military packages to Ukraine. Those were agreed before, but USA supports Ukrainian military. So by definition, it is not a mediator country. I would tell that Turkey is also not a mediator country because some of the Bayraktar TB2 are flying there in Ukrainian army. And by the way, we're gonna watch the video from TB2 today. Yes, the confirmation of the successful operations where Russian soldiers just shit their pants, and not only. But here from America, well, my friends, that's the total wrong perception of this war. I hope it will be changed. We see just little positive changes, but still the major sanctions were not applied. The project is still out there in the Senate with majority of support. However, they do not let it go. Donald Trump personally, and Rubio is just his puppet guy out there. I think that Rubio completely lost his own personality. He destroyed his personal political career. He will be remembered as Trump's puppet, nothing more, nothing less. However, we have the positive news from other allies, as I said to you. So United Kingdom will allocate 350 modern-day air defense missiles to Ukraine, which might cost roughly 70 million pounds. Ukraine absolutely needs that stuff a lot because Russia strikes Ukrainian infrastructure almost every day, not almost, but every day, every night. And we know that recently Pete Hegseth canceled the Ukrainian contract for 20,000 air-to-air missiles, which could protect Ukrainian skies. So they are used on F-16s. Well, here probably will have at least some minor but alternate, some of the air defense, which could be used again on the airplanes, I guess. Yeah, but as they say, they also could be adapted for the ground launchers. Nice. Alright, back to Trump because he is the main newsmaker on NATO summit. Our allies have increased defense spending by 700 billion, almost trillion, wow. And actually here Trump does a very good thing, pushing allies to spend more for their own armies, to invest at least 5%. Well, Poland is very close to it. However, United States itself doesn't spend 5% of GDP to support military. It's lower, but still it's the highest cost from all of the armies in the world, and it surpasses absolutely everything because GDP of United United States is huge, it's enormous. But in the countries like Estonia, it's a problem. However, they spend a lot for their own military. The countries like Spain, they don't see the imminent risk, and Trump actually was very disappointed with Spain.
But Spain is the only country out of all other countries that refuses to pay. And, you know, so they want a little bit of a free ride, but they'll have to pay it back to us on trade, because I'm not going to let that happen. It's unfair. It's unfair.
So Donald Trump is so serious that he even threatens to increase tariffs on Spain in particular, to force them to pay those 5% for their own military. And we're speaking about the future perspective. It doesn't mean that tomorrow every country is going to pay 5%. No, they're speaking about 30s, so in 10 years, something like that. Maybe a little earlier, my worst word to pronounce. Maybe a little earlier. Okay. Probably that's the only thing I like about Donald Trump, that he really pushes countries to increase the spending for their own armies. Those spendings are not going to United States, they stay in their own countries. And also what I like, actually, it's kind of the unusual video where I say some of the positive stuff about Donny. He's not leaving NATO. And he is willing to protect even fifth article. He mentioned that without the United States, NATO will not be a NATO. Let's watch.
Almost everyone, and you probably have the tapes, it was very public, but almost every one of them said, thank God for the United States. Without the United States, they couldn't really have NATO. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. It will in the future, because now they're paying much more money, but it wouldn't work. It was great. And I left here differently. I left here saying that these people really love their countries. It's not a ripoff. And we're here to help them protect their country. As far as Article 5, look.
So, yeah, I cut a little for you to understand just the most important part, because the logic of Donny, then he speaks, is kind of strange. So it's his response on Article 5, whether United States protects their allies or will protect in case of, for example, Russian intervention. America, for now, is dedicated to do it. Whether it's the surfing of the testosterone wave after bombing Iran, I'm not sure, but this is the positive signal. It is completely different Trump now compared to what he was a few months ago and before elections even. Before, you know, he said that, oh, Baltic countries, this region is kind of difficult. Yeah, well, we're gonna help NATO in general, but, you know, this region is difficult, so we'll see. But now we see more determination from Donny. Changes are here. Yeah, Donny really wants to show his muscles. This is what he posted today on his Truth Social. Let's watch it.
Bomb, bomb, Iran. Bomb, 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 Iran. Bomb, 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 bomb.
Bomb Iran and again B-2 bombers by the time there is the ceasefire agreement reached. It means that Donny really enjoyed it, and I hope that Zelensky used this matter and the mindset, new mindset of Donald Trump, inspired by United States Air Force, in Ukrainian favor. Yeah, for any sort of the psychological manipulator, I guess it would be easy to control in a way Donald Trump. I mean, high-rank manipulator. For example, some of the deputies, and definitely Donald Trump. It is understandable that he watches Fox News, and not only every day, he mainly obtains the information from that stuff. My theory that actually he got this vibe to bomb Iran from television, but he decided to play it in real life, like the video game. And for him, it looks like indeed it is a video game. Nevertheless, by the time Donny got his top attention in Netherlands, Putin is outcast. Putin will not go to BRICS summit in Brazil due to International Criminal Court arrest warrant, Kremlin aide says. Oh my god, this is the humiliation of Putin indeed. Donald Trump humiliates him openly, and even Brazil doesn't rule out to arrest the guy, because what's the other reason for him not to go to Brazil? That's crazy, guys. That's the fall of the remainings of the reputation of the Russian regime, even if we speak about this global south, those countries. Yeah, guys, sorry for jumping from one news to the other news, but those are coming in this kind of the variant, so I am telling you as they arrive. Zelensky showed the evidence that Russia passed to Ukraine the dead bodies, as Russia says, of Ukrainian soldiers, but there were some of the Russian even passports with the bodies. So Russia passed at least 20 of their bodies of their own citizens. Well, I think that the main aim to familiarize Donny with that absolutely crazy stuff is to show that Russia is not even able to send bodies of Ukrainian soldiers to Ukraine. They're sending their own bodies. It is crazy. And it means that Putin is not out there reviewing the situation with exchanges. He's not taking this issue close. For him, the main idea is to continue the war in Ukraine, no matter how. But Zelensky, he is in this action. He understands what is happening out there with exchanges, with negotiations, unlike Putin. For Putin, negotiations are just decorations to continue the war. So Putin needs negotiations as formality to improve relations with the United States and to force Donald Trump not to support Ukraine with military and, yeah, continue to occupy Ukrainian territory. Whether we like Donald Trump or not, me personally, I don't like him, but he's the American president, and Zelensky is, I would say, even forced to have a good communication with Donny to find the way out and the key for the United States to continue support Ukraine. And Donald Trump say that they're gonna see if they continue this support. I hope that Donny somehow will continue the support, because before I was almost sure that he will cancel it. So yeah, as for the latest statement, Trump said that we'll see if United States will provide money for Ukraine's defense. So we'll see doesn't mean that the United States will not provide money. No, they will look maybe to resolve the situation and to continue the support of Ukraine according to the resolution they signed today, including the United States of America. Yet Trump also said that Putin really has to end that war. We understand that he is not interested to end it, despite what Donald Trump says. And this is the funny aspect. I was laughing as well because Donny leaked the information, I mean, personal chatting with Mark Rutte, who is the Council of NATO. And let's listen to journalist's question and look at Marco Rubio's reaction. I had the same reaction, actually.
Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me.
That's strange. I think it's not even politically correct to publish the private conversation, but Donny did it just to show that Chief of NATO calls him daddy. Donny did it because he's just a narcissist. He loves himself most of all. But in a way, it's kind of funny indeed, and Rubio cannot hold himself from it. Well, I guess we're gonna get more news from the NATO summit, but I would say that it was more positive than negative for Ukraine. It is good, especially with the final declaration form, which was signed by everyone, and where Russia was called as one of the main threats to NATO. Nice, absolutely great conclusion. And guys, what we have here is probably Sukhoi 24 or I don't know, some other airplanes, hard to say for me from this perspective. Well, anyways, this is the FAB, aviation bomb, which has the gliding unit. It is not a Russian bomb, it's the new Ukrainian-made bomb, which almost copies the Russian construction, because I saw the same in Russia. So Ukraine tests that stuff on the airplanes. Let's watch how it goes, and immediately you have the wings, have the empennage, so double fin construction. Maybe it's Sukhoi 27 after all. Automatically deployed wings, and it may glide up to 80 kilometers, as it was reported. Now it's Sukhoi 24, as I said to you from the very beginning. The video comes from Defense Express. Ukraine has just started to convert those bombs by the time Russia is doing it for almost 2 years. But I hope that Ukrainian gliding units will have more precision compared to the Russian ones, because Ukraine has the open access to technologies of our Western allies. Russia is the sanctioned country, and they had to use or invent their own stuff. At the same time, Ukraine may get the ready-to-go systems which could be installed in those gliding modules. So it's not like a fully drone war out there happening. Aviation is also in action, and I would say that it's the most powerful tool which is used in this war. Aviation gliding bombs, especially Russian ones, which might weigh 1,500 up to 3,000 kilograms. It's absolutely crazy, guys. Yeah, drones work well, but they work in combination with other tools in the army. Alright guys, I promised you to show the video from the Bayraktar TB2. This is the failed landing operation of the Russian army in Kherson region. You may see why it failed. Yeah, the Bayraktar TB2 is the best tool out there, guys. Sadly, I cannot show you the full image. You may check it out on my Telegram channel. It is in the video description just below. What I may tell that Russians tried to land on some of the island in Kherson region of Ukraine. This is the Dnipro River. Well, they were spotted by Bayraktar TB2, were caputed, some of the infantry made it, but they will not last there for long without proper supplies, and Russia will hesitate to send some of the new reinforcements. They're running out of boats, actually. And those are our guys on the right. Maybe went fishing, yeah, catch some big fish. Could be a Kherson Oblast, but it seems like after all it was the training. First of all, because of this adapter, I don't know how you call it in English. This is the M4 style rifle, could be R15 with automatic fire mode. For me it's hard to say, guys, and here is one more stuff like that. That is the blank firing attachment on the muzzle. So yeah, for sure it was some sort of the training. And people say that it's M4A2 training rifle, especially for the training purposes. Nice. Maybe that's why they published this video. Well, actually, guys, we have tons of the materials, video materials coming from the front line, and probably I'm gonna make reviews about those. Not on this channel, probably on my trash channel. And I'll do it especially for patrons and members, because I don't want to have more restrictions on my channels. You understand me, I hope. And if we speak about patrons and members, guys, I really appreciate your support out there, because you keep me filming videos, you keep me motivated. If you don't have opportunity to support me, press your like and subscribe for the channel. But if you have the one, I would appreciate your support in the link below, where you may find my Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting me. Alright, good news from Germany. They're willing to invest more into Ukrainian drone production. We're speaking about 100 million euros. The most of the part will be invested into the production of the long-range drones. Like, for example, looted drones, which are very effective against some of the targets on Russian territory. Speaking about the targets, Ukraine recently intensified the strikes on some of the facilities. For example, this is the Russian factory of Zora, located in Dzerzhinsk in Nizhny Novgorod region. There, Russia produced some of the components for their chemicals and spare parts. Yeah, actually, the plant specializes in mechanical engineering for chemical, oil and gas refining and nuclear industries. It's hard to say what actually was produced there, maybe not chemicals themselves, but some sort of the mechanical engineering, some of the units, critical units used for Russian fossil fuel production and nuclear stuff. It means that this target was really a legitimate one. Oh, it seems like the Sumy operation is not going according to plan for the Russian army. Those Russians were imprisoned in Alexandrivka village. In my videos, I already stated that Ukraine was successful in imprisoning Russian Marines. Yeah, those are the representatives of 810th Separate Marine Brigade of Russian army. Marine infantry, as they say, and there are different nationalities of Russia itself. Yeah, Russia is the multinational republic. There are guys from Northern Caucasus and from different areas of Russia. And this guy, it's hard to say where he is from, maybe Lord of Rings or something. Well, Ukrainian command reported that Russians were forced to surrender and they're now being taken to Ukrainian prison. Nothing bad will happen to them any longer. They will be exchanged in the future. There will be medical care provided for them. They will be fitted, unlike in the Russian army, but the main thing is to exchange those on Ukrainian soldiers in the Russian prisons. That's why actually it's important to imprison those characters of Lords of Rings and exchange those later on, because exchanges are happening and those are very important. Some of Ukrainian soldiers spent years and years in Russia in very bad conditions. And this Ukrainian soldier is happy because he is leading 2 of the Russian prisoners of war he was capable to capture. It is also the Sumy direction. Our Russians are taking the AK-630 military ship turrets. Those are being installed on ships only, but Russia takes that stuff to the front lines. Okay, they transport those by lorries via Crimea. This is the 30mm cannon, I would say, which has 6 barrels, so they rotate like Gatling cannon or something like that. It also has the very high rate of fire, roughly 1000 rounds per minute. But the thing that you cannot control it manually, you need some sort of the automatic module, because the cannon is automatic. It is used as the anti-aircraft cannon against the low-flying targets, including, by the way, cruise missiles. Well, it is understandable that those things are just useless for the offensive operation. Maybe that's why Russia expects some of the offensive operation from Ukrainian side, and they put those things on their defense lines in Kherson region. Kind of the strange solution, I would say, but maybe it might work, who knows, nobody did it before. And the situation in the Russian army, well, it is not so bright as Russia says, it is understandable. BBC citing NATO officials say that Russia will be able to wage war in Ukraine until at least 2027. Yeah, guys, it is the long-lasting war. But according to the same article, Russia already reached its maximum military production and is unable to expand it any longer because their economy is very limited. And if Russia continue to be under sanctions, and if those sanctions will be reinforced, Russian military may face significant issues. But as usual, Putin has this alternate method which Soviet army used before. Midwaves. Announce a huge mobilization, give rifles to people. There are lots of the Kalashnikov rifles out there in Russia, and they're very cheap in production, those bullets and everything. And just, you know, create this swarm of Russian soldiers attacking and taking Ukrainian territories with absolutely impossible losses, but it might happen like that. It depends on determination of Putin personally. I guess he is very determined. Only Putin, who started this war, could stop it. The aim for Ukraine is to defend itself using sophisticated tools to fight the Russian midwaves. Because it's the only way possible. Russia has more military men, potentially, if they announce a new mobilization. Alright guys, right now we have the report that Ukraine hit some of the military train of the Russian army near Veliki Tokmak. So definitely there is the train station, even the railroad, and Ukrainian military command in this region, they reported about the successful operation, probably using FPV drones. But other than that statement, I don't have any more confirmation, so I'll be waiting for it. I hope it comes very soon. Some of the minor news from Middle East. Iran confirms that the commander of the Hatam al-Abiya Central Headquarters, Ali Shadmani, died from the wounds he sustained on strike of 17th of June. Yeah, there will be also like the huge funeral ceremony for all of those officers and nuclear specialists who lost their lives during this very short war. Yeah, yesterday Ayatollah regime celebrated victory, and on Saturday they will but there will be a funeral. Maybe they should have done it the same day. More news from Middle East. CNN and Reuters cite some of the sources in the United States intelligence who told that the damage to the Fordo facility was just a minor one. They say that uranium stockpiles have not been liquidated, maybe just centrifuges, but centrifuges, they're very important as well. They also say that the nuclear program, much of which is underground, has probably been delayed for months or two, just for months or two. And here we have the screaming caps lock statement from Donald Trump. Fake news. CNN together with the failing New York Times have teamed up in attempt to demean one of the most successful military strikes in the history. Yeah, he says that everything was demolished there, but no one knows because kabooms happen underground. You need to go there and find out yourself. Well, judging on the concrete on the ground here, definitely there was the damage to underground facilities. I guess that important stuff was significantly damaged, but maybe those fake news agencies really have their experts in intelligence of USA. Well, at least Pete Hegseth now launches an investigation alongside the FBI into leaks surrounding the classified report of the effectiveness of the last weekend's United States strike against Iran. Information from the classified report has been believed to be provided to several media outlets, including CNN, Fox News, NBC, and the New York Times, who all published articles yesterday containing the reference to the classified report published by DAA. So maybe Tulsi Gabbard is there, giving information left and right. And maybe in this case, if they launch the investigation, those news could be correct. That damage was done, but not a significant one, as said by Donald Trump before, because what's the reason to start this investigation for the leaked information? If it is leaked, it means that it is real. But no one will tell you for sure. You need to have someone physically go underground to photo, to check it out, to film it on a camera. DJI GoPro doesn't matter. I would like actually to go to this place to film inside, but Iran will not let me in. Yeah, also there could be like nuclear contamination. Meanwhile, Russia continued to modernize their Shahid drones. For example, this is Shahid 136. It's not Russian-made Iran. Probably Russia left some of the original Shahids for experiments, and this one was launched to Ukraine. The serial number is MS001, so it was made in Iran. Or Iran. What's the difference here? That Russia put some of the extra gear to control the drone manually by the drone operator remotely. I think they do it via the SIM cards, which are active over Ukraine. So then the drone flies, it may give the information about its position and maybe even send visual data to the operator. Visual data, I mean, because there is the thermal camera installed. The main computer which is processing the information is NVIDIA Jetson Orin. And yeah, you can easily buy it on NVIDIA website. It's the single motherboard with a chip and cooling system. You may program it as you want, and we'll see how much does it cost. Well, let's say it's not available right now, but for more than one unit, you'll have the price of $250. Manufactured in 24 weeks, long time to wait. Well, in our shop, it definitely costs a lot, 730 euros. It depends maybe on what modification you want to buy. This stuff is made not in Russia, okay? So it's been used by Russia for its military purposes, but everything of that is made elsewhere, in United States, in Europe. Plus, I also have doubts that it is freely for sale out there in Russia, that it can be shipped even to Russia. Russia searches for opportunities to buy the stuff from the third countries. Plus, China helps a lot with logistics, and they also make the components for NVIDIA as well. Well, before I showed you the drone which was shot down by Ukrainian air defense, but this is a new video coming from one more Shahid drone like that, equipped with the real video information which is coming to the drone operator, and they're able to precisely strike Ukrainian military equipment or some sort of the vehicle covered by tent. This is Kramatorsk military airfield. It is close to the front lines. Ukraine doesn't store the aircraft there, but nevertheless, this strike was definitely a success for Russians. They're now capable to use Shahid drones as Lancet drones with greater precision, with lifetime operation. And it is happening because they obtained those technologies made by Western countries mostly. And yes, I understand that it is very hard to control all of the electronics which is coming to Russia, but something should be done, like ban on everything should be introduced for Russia, maybe excluding food, that's it, because they use those technologies for their military mainly. Right, my friends, and now please don't forget to press your huge like and also subscribe for the channel. By doing so, you help me a lot. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.